Why do they talk about the Quran as if it's a sentient being? It's a book, my guy. All right, this one's going to be interesting. Normally, I like covering the questions for atheists, but this one's going to be a questions from atheists video that I'm going to be responding to. It's questions from atheists to a person called Ali Dawa, who's a Muslim. We're going to be covering that. I think it's going to be a little different than stuff we normally do, but the video's pretty huge. So let's go and take a look at it. But first, as always, fan art section is important. We have one from Mother Hops Dagger. I finished my fan art. I know it's not as good as what y'all do, but I wanted to do it anyways. So can I, before I go forward, all fan art in my mind is equally valid. All of it. Comparing yourself to other artists who do fan art, don't. Just don't. I appreciate every single thing that comes in. It doesn't matter how much time you put into it. It doesn't matter how good you think the fan art is. To me, it's fucking special. There's no line. Sometimes there's fan art that I go, hey, I like that particular style. But that doesn't mean I necessarily like one more than the other all the time. I'm just happy that I get fan art at all. The fact that I have a community that drops fan art so frequently is just astounding. I have no idea how we even cultivated this kind of community, but I am thankful for the community we have in any fucking case. And yeah, even when you guys literally paint war crimes of me, that shit that I absolutely hate and despise, I still treasure it. You guys have no idea. I still treasure that stuff all the time. So don't say, oh, it's not as good as everyone else's. No, it is as good. It is. But we will continue on. The next one we have is from Robotic Kitty. Said a work in progress. I wanted to finish it, but haven't been able to because I have been sick. Well, I'm sorry that you've been sick, but I have seen the updated versions of this, so I know where we're going. The last one we have is from Karamba again. We have another wonderfully done outfit, but we do not have any context. We do not. Because it's Karamba, and there will never be context. I've learned that. I have learned that all the time. As always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, let's go ahead and get into videos called Ali Dawa Answered the Toughest Atheism Questions. Only in 1 minute. Well, it's a 12-minute video, so that was a lie.
Created everything. So
okay, this is a stinger. Let's actually what? I don't care about the stinger. I care about the video itself. Let's go.
1 minute for each question.
You ready?
Are you ready?
Can you prove God's existence in 1 minute?
Let's look at Google. In order for Google to exist, we need the internet. In order for the internet to exist, we need the computer or our telephones or our tablets. In order.
All right, so he's just doing the regression argument. He's just gonna say things cannot infinitely regress, and therefore God. I do not think that's a very convincing argument, but let's see how he goes. Said, let me know, where's this going? Oh, no, we know exactly where it's going. The minute somebody says a thing is contingent on a thing, we have the argument, we have a contingency argument. That's what we have. Always it's that. It's always that, but let's take a look.
For the computer to exist, there has to be human beings that create it, and etc. It relies on electricity. The question follows is the following. Google relies on the internet relies on the computer relies on us and electricity, and this goes on.
So it can also be called the first cause argument, but let's go.
Not have an infinite regress of dependent things. We require a place where it all stops and makes sense, which is the independent, self-sufficient, necessary being, which is God.
Why can't the necessary being be the universe?
Well,
all right. So let's so he said necessary being. Let's go ahead and talk about some of this. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the issues here. So when you make this argument, there's a bunch of different ways to do this. William Lane Craig does this with his Kalam cosmological argument. It's the same argument, right? The Kalam cosmological argument also came from Islam first before he adapted it for Christianity, but the same idea. Cosmological argument from first cause, all of these things, argument for contingency, they're all the same argument, but they all kind of assume a couple of things here. The first thing they assume is that it is impossible for things to be self-caused. Infinite regress of causes is the idea that something can cause itself to come into being. Usually the problem here that people pop out is, well, I can't conceive of something causing itself. I can't conceive of something happening infinitely. I can't conceive of an infinite regress, which is interesting. I can't conceive of an infinite regress either, but I don't see a logical problem with an infinite regress. The idea of a regression happening infinitely is only a problem of scope and your ability to think about it. But if you think about it, you can't visualize the number 1 million. You can't. It's impossible for most people to visualize 1 million without the brain using shortcuts. If you try to conceptualize 1 million ants, you're going to end up just looking at a giant block of something. Your brain's done a filler. The actual individual ants, you're not conceptualizing anymore. That's no longer part of your mathematics in your head. Infinity works the exact same way. And the argument always ends up being kind of weird. A god is an infinite being, usually in these kind of arguments. So infinity works both ways perfectly fine in their epistemology. And yet somehow the concept of infinity is the problem they're trying to solve with the first cause argument. Yeah, infinity is not a number, I know. The fact that we as human beings with our very limited abilities with our brains, vast though they may be in most cases, the inability for us to conceptualize a thing does not suddenly mean that that thing requires a god. I can't conceive of an infinite regress, but that doesn't mean an infinite regress is not possible. I can't conceive of infinite time, and yet your epistemology has infinite time with a god in it. It doesn't mean anything to me. But let's go ahead and continue.
That's good that you say that, because first it shows that you acknowledge with me that we require a necessary being.
Wait. It's 1 minute. He's supposed to answer all these in 1 minute, and yet this is a follow-up question. He's having to add context to his last question. Let's keep going.
That's good. All you've done is applied this to the universe, and we say that contradicts the necessary being, because the necessary being is independent, self-sufficient, and is necessary. The universe is not self-sufficient and dependent.
Is it? What is the universe dependent on? Wait, hold on. You've assumed something. What is the universe's dependency? Because the universe exists whether or not the first cause happens. The singularity of all matter and energy being condensed into a single point, that is still the universe. That is still that. There's not a dependency there. That just is there. There are individual things within that universe that may be dependent on different actions, but the universe existing, that's just there. There are also some conceptualizations of the infinite that have the several universes being nestled within a greater cosmos. On one hand, that kind of kicks the can down the way, but on the other hand, again, this doesn't argue that our universe as a singular closed system has a contingency. You haven't proved that. You need to demonstrate that. The burden of proof's on you to do that. What was the other part that he said here?
Sufficient and is necessary. The universe is not self-sufficient.
And the universe not being self-sufficient, what do you mean by self-sufficient? In what ways does a universe become self-sufficient? What does the universe rely on that it is not just doing on its own? That word means nothing within the if we're talking about cosmology, that word means nothing.
and dependent. It's opposite. So you can't have this be that because it contradicts.
Can God create a rock that he can't lift?
I hate this question so fucking much. I'm probably going to agree with the answer that he gives for this one. I think that the can God create a thing that he can't lift? I think it's a dumb question. It's always been a dumb question.
I mean, this is an invalid question. When people ask this question, it's like a valid question. I can ask the question, can God cease to exist? Of course not. It's contradictory. It's like me saying, how many days in a week? Yes or no? Yes or no? It's not yes.
No. I disagree with that. I actually disagree with that. So, God damn it, I'm gonna have to play theist for a moment here. So when you are defining a god, which you have to do, because you can't just say God. God is a vacuous statement. God means nothing. There are several conceptualizations of God. You've got to give me a definition. Most definitions of God involve him being an all-powerful being. Now, you can sacrifice the all-powerful nature of God and say that he's able to do all things that are logical, like God creates the laws of logic, and therefore the actions that he does are contingent on those laws that he made himself, in which case he could release those restraints. Either way, though, the idea that, oh, can God create a rock so large that he can't lift? If you define the God as being able to do all things that are logically possible, then you force somebody into a category error when they ask that question. You've asked a not logically possible thing, therefore, no, that God can't do it. It can only do all things that are logically possible. However, if you say that a God can do everything, literally everything, you want to bite the bullet on literally an all-powerful deity, every single aspect of it. Now we have something. Now we have something completely different. Now we have a God who needs to be able to do both the logically possible and the illogical. This God needs to be able to do things that make sense and things that have no business actually happening. This God needs to be able to do things akin to drug trips. If your God's all-powerful, he should be able to do that. Your God should be able to create something so big that he can lift it, but he should also be able to put it in a state where he can lift it. He should have full control over this. So wouldn't the answer be that the God can create a rock they can't lift, but as long as they don't want to be able to lift it, then they will not be able to lift it? Again, yeah, that's because, okay, if a being is all-powerful, a being can't have desires. It functionally can. If you're an all-powerful being, if you want something, it happens. Period. The only reason that you, as an individual, may want something, but it doesn't happen, is because there's a limitation. The limitation is either another want superseding it. I want to get my homework done, but I'm going to procrastinate. I want to eat healthy, but I'm going to eat this bag of chips. I want to do X, but I'm going to do Y because Y is either more convenient, more desirable, something. Or I want to do this thing and I don't have the money for it. Or I want to do this thing and I'm not in the geographical location for it. There's always something impeding it, whether it be another want that takes over or some type of external limitation. An all-powerful being doesn't have the external limitations, so an all-powerful being would only have contradicting desires. And whatever thing he desires more will simply manifest because it is within his power definitionally. If it doesn't manifest, then he didn't want it to happen because a different want superseded it. If a God that is all-powerful wants to create something he can't lift, he will create something he can't lift. But then when he wants to be able to lift it, that desire will supersede, and he will be able to lift it. It's not an invalid question. You just need to be better at defining your deity. And I hate that I'm playing the theistic apologist here with all of that, but you gotta be more creative when you're building your God, dude. Maybe try something simpler. Legos, perhaps.
Yes or no question. I have to ask how many days of week 7. So the point is the question is invalid. So
it's not an invalid question. We just went over that.
To say, can God create a rock so big that he can't lift, then the moment he creates that, he becomes not powerful because he can't lift it.
No. The moment he creates that, he is still powerful because his desire to create something he couldn't lift was the strongest desire, and it manifested because he's all-powerful. The minute he's able to lift it, he still created a thing he couldn't lift for a time. You can't lift a rock right now that is several hundred pounds, but you might be able to with the right tools. You might be able to after some strength training. God can put himself in all of those states at the exact same time, if we are accepting him as a deity here.
There's no such thing that exists. It's just a question that is asked for the sake of it.
So what happened here is instead of being creative with his answer, instead of understanding the structure of the question, he dodged. Interesting.
Can't there be more than one creator?
Absolutely. There's no reason there can't be. There can be multiple creative deities that do different things, but he's already said no in the subtitle, so that spoiled that.
No, because then we go back to the argument of necessary being.
No. Necessary being and creator being are different things. The entire universe can be contingent on a single being. Let's grant that for a moment. Let's do that for fun. The universe can be contingent on a single being, and that being might not be able to create matter as we understand it. But that being is able to create other beings that can create matter. That's, again, we can conceptualize anything. We are human beings. We are infinitely creative. We have the ability to do that. We can conceptualize of a creator being that can only create sub-creators. And those sub-creators are able to actually create matter and the universe and human minds and shit like that. But the actual contingent being, like you could kill all those creators randomly. You just go full deicide, Final Fantasy mode. And it wouldn't be enough to stop the universe from existing. But if you manage to deicide the contingent one, you can have all these creators that can make more matter, but none of it's going to fucking matter because the contingent being's dead. We could do that. Maybe I've played way too many video games, but this is... it's basically Arceus. You're right, Silverjay. I just described Arceus. I literally just described Arceus. Arceus popped out and was like, Dialga, handle space. Palkia, handle time. Giratina, handle literally the infinite void of infinite nightmares. There you go. I'm not sure why Nightmare was required, but we got to Giratina anyway. It's fine.
If there was more than one creator, then the question is, how could you have one necessary being which is self-sufficient?
No, you don't. Again, look, category error. You don't need a self-sufficient and a creator. This is the problem you get when you try to shove all the dumb shit into your god. When you conceptualize a god that has to do all things, you get IDW Sonic. That's what you get. You get the character who's got to be the protagonist. He's got to be able to be the smartest guy who comes up with the plans, but he's also got to be the person who fucks everything up, but he's also got to be the person who fixes everything, but he's also got to be the person who does everything right. He's also got to be the person that does X, Y, Z. Everything has to be contingent on him. This is literally, you're bad at your fiction. You're bad at writing your fiction, my guy. That's all this is. You can conceive of a of several gods. You can, like, polytheism doesn't have this problem, right? You could conceive of different ways that this could work. Like in polytheism, in certain versions of polytheism, the contingency is chaos. That's it. The contingency is chaos. Gods get birthed from the infinite void. Some are creator deities, some are not. That the contingency is chaos. This is a problem that doesn't exist. This is a problem that is unique to this unilateral monotheistic bullshit. And I'm an atheist.
Independent. If there is another creator, then it's dependent. It's not necessary anymore. So the question is, if there was two creators, firstly, Allah says in the Quran, they would fight each other for power. Yeah? So that...
Only because the version of God that you have requires a dick measuring contest with other deities. When you write a petty god, of course you would say they would naturally fight each other. Because that's a human tendency. Because you give your god human limitations. Evil Dead Guy says, hello, how are you? Where is your witch hat? Well, the witch hat is on the 3D model. I am not using it because the 3D model is in the middle of being updated by Bonbon.
That shows two powers fighting each other are dependent because they require more power to kill the other one. So that's why we believe there has to be one necessary being.
Why wouldn't you just have two equally powered gods that are always at standstill, that are responsible for different aspects of creation? You can have that, and it's way more interesting than mine will win in the end because he's the good one.
That is self-sufficient, independent, and necessary.
God created everything, So who created God?
Is also a dumb question. Definitionally, if you are arguing that your God is the first being because the concept of a first being makes no sense because your God exists in infinite time, you've defined your God to not be contingent on other things. That's what you've done. The question who created God then becomes it's a category error question. I don't like this question. I think it's a dumb question. I think atheists should stop asking this question. It's not a good question. Is this going to be a thing where, like, I think the question's dumb and then I disagree with the way he answers the question? Let's continue.
Well, the question is invalid.
Okay, we agree on that one.
Once again, it's an invalid question. Just because somebody asks this question doesn't mean it's a valid question. Because what we say is we see cause and effect within our universe. It requires a designer. To come and say who created that designer is you haven't understood who the designer is.
Okay, no. Stop. This is the blind watchmaker shit. Stop. We're just skipping ahead. We're just skipping ahead. Like, look, just define your God as being the creator. That's it. You don't have to do this blind watchmaker shit. You don't have to do this apologetic shit. Definitionally, you just create one that doesn't have those problems. You're creating a deity in your mind. You have the ability to create it in any way, shape, or form. You can make it infinitely more interesting than petty man who does dick measuring contests with people, and when they fail, he throws them in hell. You can do better than that.
These attributes can
Okay.
as every
You actually took the full minute. Interesting.
stops there.
Why Islam when there is many other religions?
Yeah, that's another good question. Why yours? Why your specific flavor?
Well, that's the question I asked myself before I came to Islam. Why Islam? And when I did my research and what I was born with the fitrah, there was a study done in Oxford University by Justin Barrett. He found that young kids who are not taught about Islam or Christianity or any other religion, they all had the inclination to believe in one God.
Because we have a society where even if you grow kids up in a household that does not include God belief, our society is one that largely favors monotheistic religions, whether it be Judaism, Islam, Christianity. It is impossible to actually control for all outside influences of kids. Even if they're not in a religious household, they're still going to have something that talks about God in media. Somewhere. Literally the most popular book that has ever been written is the fucking Bible. Like, yay, a scientific study found this. You didn't use that scientific study to come to your belief. I'm completely shooting off the hip when I say this, but usually when people say this shit, it's somebody told them that. They already believed in their religion and they went, I can put that in my pocketbook of apologetics. But again, you can't properly control for that.
Not two, not three. So to me, I had that in myself to believe in one God. But the question was, why Islam?
This is also just the freaking is it Romans? Is it Romans or Acts? I can't remember which one it is. The truth of God is written on your heart, blah 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 blah. That one. This is just that again, which is not unique to Islam. That's Christianity as well.
I asked the same question to myself. And when I looked into it, I realized true monotheism in its true sense. Because if you go to the Christians, they say we're monotheists. And they believe 3 in 1. You go to the Hindus, they say we believe 1 million gods is one. The point is this, pure monotheism in its worship and understanding of who God is only in Islam. Not only that, also when it comes to the Quran.
It's only in Islam? Judaism has that too, my guy. What are you talking about? What? Judaism is just as much of a monotheistic religion as yours. What? But don't bring that up, because if you do, then it's very inconvenient for your point. Secondly, can I like definitionally, what separates a god from an angel? Because from my perspective, it's not much. It's degrees of power. That's it. And if that's the case, who cares? You're all having polytheistic religions because they've all got sub-gods. You just call them angels.
And it is the only scripture on this planet that is being preserved and has miracles that we can see. For
like what? Wait, that's an interesting claim.
example, if I go to a Christian and I say, look, I want to believe in Christianity. Show me. You say Jesus gave life to the dead and this, that, with the permission of God. Show me.
That's a good question. I wonder how Islam is going to do that.
Or if you go to the Jews and say Moses did that, show me. Can they show you? No, they can't. If they come and say to us, what's...
Wait. I thought you said only in 1 minute. Why are you taking longer than 1 minute for this one? Wait. So you lied. The video title's a lie.
the miracle of the Quran? We'll say, here's the Quran and we can show you, touch it. You can feel it, you can analyze it.
I can do the same thing with the Torah. I can do the same thing with the Bhagavad Gita. I can do the same thing with the Bible. What? How? I can hand you a book. That's your point?
Why? Because also we learn from this, the Quran is for all mankind.
People say the same shit about the Bible. Why does that matter?
And you can see it, you can hear it, you can examine it.
You can do that with the Bible. Why does that matter?
But the miracles that the other prophets done, you can never prove that.
Yeah, you can't... Wait. You can't prove the miracles from the Bible. This is true. But you can prove the miracles from the Quran. Okay, how? I handed you a book. Wow, the miracle of reading. I can't believe we're in this Dr. Seuss garbage now. Neat.
That's why that was for that time specifically. And the Quran is for all times because we have a method, an oral tradition, which is the Quran, which we and many generations after us can examine.
Okay, one, you're way after 1 minute. Two, you're still just talking about your book. What? The Bible has that too. Several other religions have that too. Why does this matter?
And that's what I did before I came to Islam. I examined it, I read it, I looked at the prophecies, I looked at the miracles. I said, this can be no other than by from Allah.
You read the book. You came to the conclusion that it can be nothing other than God, and therefore now you're here. That's the miracle? That was the miracle. Holy shit, I'm gonna claw my eyes out. This is so nightmarishly dumb. What?
You told us that there are miracles of the Quran.
Yeah.
Can you please just tell us one miracle of the Quran?
I'm going to be generous here. I'm going to give you three. Yeah? Yeah, you have to be generous sometimes in life, you know. The first one is, I think, very profound and very important because what we are told, for example, that in Surah Balad, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about Abu Lahab. And this is very interesting because...
No, it's not.
Because Abu Lahab could make one statement and the whole of Islam will fall on the ground. Allah says in the Quran about Abu Lahab and his wife that they are going to enter the fire, hellfire. They're going to die as disbelievers and enter the hellfire. Now, if you think about it, Abu Lahab, he had to do one thing and disprove Islam. Because the Quran declares you're going to go hellfire, you and your wife, and you're going to die as a disbeliever. So the thing is this, they could have called, Abu Lahab could have said, hold on a second, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. There you go, your religion is false. Because your religion says I'm going hellfire. Your religion says I'm going to die as a disbeliever. I accept Islam. He didn't do it. He died as a disbeliever. To me, that is profound.
How? Your book said a person didn't believe it. That's your miracle? You said you would give 3. You have 8 seconds left. How are you going to get 2 more in here? What? How? How is this? How? How? How on a fucking cow garden is that a miracle? Your book said a person didn't believe it, and they didn't, and they died. Oh my fucking god! What he's referring to is Gehenna. I know. Can we, you know what? No. In chat, who here has been long enough to remember nuclear fruit? Who here has been long enough on my channel to remember nuclear fruit? Apparently, there is a tree in the Muslim version of hell that gets all of its nutrients from the blood and sweat from the people that their god tortures there. And the fruit itself can destroy several square feet, like thousands of it, like a grenade. And for the longest time, I was just like, yeah, nuclear fruit, that's funny. And then I forgot to use it in other things, and it died almost like the Very H meme that totally, really still exists. Said, wait, really? Yes. The fruit's called Zakum. The fruit is called Zakum. And it is literally just nuclear fruit. Fruit that creates fallout. Will you eat Zakum? No. How are you going to get 2 other miracles out of this?
Because he had to do one statement to disprove the whole of... They wanted to stop Prophet Muhammad, yeah? With everything. He just had to do 10 seconds of the Shahada and crumble the whole religion. He didn't. Number 2, there is an evidence for...
Wow, he's past a minute again. He lied. Twice.
For example, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about in the Quran about the time of Moses and the time of Yusuf alayhi salam, yeah? And Allah talks at the time of Yusuf alayhi salam, He calls the ruler a king.
Okay.
At the time of Moses, He calls him a pharaoh.
Okay.
But in the Bible, they call the time of Yusuf alayhi salam, and they call him a pharaoh. And at the time of Moses, they call him a pharaoh. This is historical error. Because when they decide...
How is that a miracle? The Quran was written with more historical context because it was written, what, 700 years after the Bible? Something like that? Oh, 700 years after the last books of the Bible, rather. Why does that matter? They used a different word in the Quran. Who cares? Historical errors, it's miracles. It's miracle. Wow. Holy shit, this is profound.
For the Rosetta Stone, is a thing, to understand the Egyptian hieroglyphics, they found out that there was no pharaohs at the time of Joseph. This dynasty didn't exist. There was kings. How did the Quran know this?
Because different people wrote it. How did you know something happened in the past? Oh, I don't know. Oral traditions were passed down. The Bible, routinely, has been translated multiple fucking times into multiple different languages. And the translations we use today are based off of old translations as well. The King James version, the whole like la 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 la, I made my name stupid with a 1611 at the end of it because I sucked Steven Anderson's thong or some shit. That whole like ordeal is based off of 13th century Greek documents. It's translations of translations of translations of translations. That's it. The Quran, historically, has fewer translational jumps. It just does. So, the idea that it has text that is slightly more accurate about a single historical event, cool, I can believe that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. You used one descriptive term instead of a different one. I am floored. My brain is melting.
And they say the Quran copies the Bible. The Quran copied from...
Nakibri says, I thought it was John 3:16, not 1611. No. 1611 is the year that the King James Bible was finally published. That when you see somebody with a username, like cumfucker1611, it means that they believe that the King James Bible is the most important version of the Bible to ever be made. And that usually also means they're a Christian fundamentalist. Usually.
From the Bible. Why didn't the Quran copy the mistake? And how did it know that at the time of Joseph, the ruler is a king?
Why do they keep talking about the Quran like it's a sentient being? Why do they talk about the Quran as if it's a sentient being? It's a book, my guy. It's a book. Why did it use one word over than another? I don't know. Why did I call you an idiot instead of a stupid head? Doesn't matter.
There's no pharaohs. How did they know that? That's number 2.
It's literally not even a miracle.
Number 3, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Rum, قُلُبَتِ الرُّوم. The Romans have been defeated. The historians say the way the Romans got defeated by the Persians, it's impossible to think, let alone them coming back to win, for them to even exist. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, the Romans have been defeated, but they are going to win. That's a big statement. That's like saying you guys together, we're going to take over USA and we're going to beat Trump. It's crazy. It's a big gamble. And after 3 to 7 years or 3 to 9 years, the Romans come and defeat the Persians. These are historical problems. These are just some. There are hundreds.
The Roman-Persian wars were from 54 BC to 628 AD. All right? When was the Quran, the text was written in the late 6th century or early 7th century. The Quran was written after the fucking Roman wars. You talked about a thing that happened in the past in a book. That's the miracle. What? So we can get behind him on that one? No, we can't. The book was written afterwards. No, the fuck we can't. We can't get behind him on something that is literally... If I write about a thing 50 years after the fact, and somebody says, look at this prediction Suris made in this book, but it was written 50 years after the fact, it's not a prediction anymore. It's not a fucking miracle. It's nothing. It's just contemporary history. The statement he said was, let's get together and beat Trump. Oh, okay. I mean, his toupee is weighing him down a lot in himself. Oh,
Hundreds.
God.
I'm giving you just 3, and I can go on.
You can go on, but you had 1 minute and you just, no, we're done. We're done. Twice now you've broken the minute thing, and multiple times now I've wanted to pull my hair out just having to go through this. Why are we here? What's the oldest version of the Bible? The oldest documents that we can think of where the Bible are concerned usually are like the Dead Sea Scrolls, right? That's it. The earliest translation of the Hebrew Bible, there's an old Greek translation that was made in Alexandria, I think, right? That's another one. Those two come to mind. There's that. The Septuagint, I don't know the name. Septuagint? Sure. Those are the oldest ones I can think of. Bregman says the oldest version is the Sinai Bible. That's the oldest intact one. Okay. You know, Dead Sea Scrolls are fragmentary. They're not everything. But if you want to know more about the Dead Sea Scrolls, just go watch Evangelion. Just lots of religious symbolism in Evangelion. Anyways, that's all I got with that one. Holy, there could be something profound in those last 4 minutes. I'm not doing it. I'm just not. 2 of those questions were over the 1 minute mark. Video lied. You even had the timer leave the screen. And just every answer was asinine. The 3 prophecies you gave had nothing, even tangentially, to do with prophecies. They were literally, hey, we had a different word written down in the Quran. Isn't that neat? Boy, howdy, that is just swell. You know what? You did it. You had a different word in the Quran. Congratulations. Yeah, video lied plus L plus ratio plus no maidens. Delete your Twitter account, something like that. I don't know. And anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Maybe there's more in there that I should care about. But I don't think so. I don't. I'll take that gamble. Oh my god, I shouldn't do videos at 4 in the morning. I have no patience for them at this point. I don't. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you like my content, there's Patreon, there's liking, there's subscribing, there's all that fun stuff. I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna sleep. Why'd you start so late? That is a long story. Anyway, as always, everybody, insert end of video tagline here.